11 spine-chilling first date horrors. She seemed normal. Until I discovered her sinister secret. Ryan had stepped into the dating world again, but not without trepidation. It had been years since he had been on a date, and now he found himself in a bustling diner that might have been charming if not for the icy lump in his throat. The worn booths, the smell of greasy fries mixed with burnt coffee, it all felt strangely claustrophobic. Then, she walked in. Sarah. Her laughter echoed like a haunting melody that wrapped itself around him, claiming his attention immediately. Everything about her made him feel alive again. It felt wrong, but was it? Wasn't he at time for a fresh start? As they shared stories over towering milkshakes, Ryan began to see that warmth, that laughter he had lost with his wife. But a venomous drop of unease seeped into his heart like poison. Sarah knew too much. His son's name rolled off her tongue with ease. How did she know? The little quirks he had away from the public eye. She spoke as if they had known each other for years. He tried to push aside this sense of dread, wielding it as a shield against the shine of hope blooming inside him. Walking back home, the streetlights flickered above them, casting distorted shadows that danced across the pavement. Why did Sarah's smile send shivers racing up his spine? Was it the way her eyes gleamed with excitement as they approached his front door? Oddly bright, unnervingly so. When they said their goodbyes, Ryan barely managed a smile back, the sinking feeling settling deeply within him. The following day, life tilted on its axis. Stumbling upon Sarah's phone abandoned in his car, he couldn't resist the urge to peek. A forbidden thrill coursing through him, he unlocked it, only to feel like he'd been sucker-punched. Messages filled with chilling threats directed at his son made his heart turn to ice. Panic surged through his veins like wildfire. He fumbled to compose himself. Who was this person? Ryan's instincts were screaming that this woman could never let go of the facade, that she was twisted in ways he couldn't comprehend. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each street light flickered with a haunting reminder of his growing dread as he drove through his neighborhood, once a sanctuary. It felt like a rat maze, his heart racing with every turn. Shadows loomed larger, whispers haunted him like a cursed melody. He could almost hear the laughter fading into an echo of despair. The wanting to dig deeper became an obsession, and horror unfolded as he discovered Sarah's connections within his community support groups where her name elicited nervous glances, and her erratic behavior became scarier with every story he uncovered. And now, dread enveloped him like a thick fog, the familiarity of home turning alien. An irrational thought took root. Was he being watched? As he decided to confront Sarah, the air thickened with tension. The night felt alive with sinister intent. Approaching her house, Ryan peered into the dim light. His heart pounded. Was she waiting for him? The door crack opened, a sliver of darkness threatening to spill out. Ryan hesitated, but a glimpse of movement within stopped him cold. The shadows shifted, and realization washed over him like ice water. A nightmare. Wasn't he just lurking? It was breathing right behind her. The fear clawed at his throat, a suffocating truth urging him forward into the unknown. What horrors were waiting beyond that door? Ryan's breath caught in his throat as he stood frozen, the darkness beyond the door almost palpable. Each thump of his heart sounded like a signal for whatever was waiting inside to pounce. He took a half step forward, unable to shake the feeling of dread gnawing at him. The shadow flickered again, more pronounced this time. Sarah? He called out, voice trembling. It felt wrong to say her name, but somehow necessary. The silence that followed stretched like a taut wire, ready to snap. Just as he considered turning away, the door creaked open wider. There she was, her smile disarming yet frightening, her eyes glistening like twin obsidian pools. Ryan! I was just thinking of you, she exclaimed, stepping aside with a theatrical flourish. He stepped over the threshold, hesitation lingering as icy tendrils of intuition gripped him tighter. The interior of her home felt suffocating, like a trap crafted from tightly woven threads of normalcy. The decor was quaint, almost inviting, yet it was marred by an unsettling stillness that sent shivers down his spine. "Come in, come in. I made some snacks," she said, her voice a melody that caressed his senses yet echoed with an underlying current of danger. He nodded softly, forcing a smile despite the churn of anxiety in his gut. "Thanks," he replied, trying to find his footing as he crossed the threshold. The living room was dimly lit, the shadows bending unnaturally under the flickering glow of a single bulb. Photos adorned the walls, smiling faces, bright eyes, but an odd tension lurked between them. His discomfort grew as he recognized some of the faces. They weren't strangers. "Is that?" He squinted. "Is that Bob from the support group?" She turned, her expression shifting so subtly it was almost undetectable. "Oh, you know him?" "Yes, just a friend of mine," she said too casually, her gaze drifting to a spot behind him, something lurking just outside the reach of light. "Yeah," Ryan muttered, turning to look where her eyes had darted. "Nothing there but shadows." "We share some," she interrupted, her smile widening too wide, teeth glimmering. "Let us not dwell on old stories. I'd rather focus on us." A shiver raced down his spine, the chill of her enthusiasm stark against the warmth of the cozy setup. Something in the way she leaned in unsettled him. Wasn't this supposed to be a joyful time? Maybe he was overreacting. But then he noticed the frayed edges of the drapes, the unsettling signs of disarray peeking through the curated pictures. They suggested a life hidden beneath the surface, like a submerged rock waiting to shred the unsuspecting explorer. "Your phone," he started, feeling foolish. "I found it in my car." "I didn't mean to snoop." "Just no worries. I have several." She waved a hand dismissively, too eager, too quick. "But I read some things in there," the words hung in the air, too heavy to ignore. "Things?" Her gaze sharpened, edges cutting deeper into his resolve. "About my son." Ryan took a step backward, alarms ringing in his head. "What do you want with him?" Laughter broke the air, sharp and dissonant, startling him. "Want? Oh, Ryan, you misunderstand. I want to offer you something, a bond unlike anything you've experienced before." Panic filled his chest. Suddenly, the pictures on the walls felt like a gallery of portraits watching him, the echoes of their laughter morphing into an ominous chant. "Let us play a game," she said, her voice lowering to a whisper that made his skin prickle. "A little test, just you and me. Win and you'll see just how deep our connection really runs." "Test?" he stammered, fear slicing through him. "Don't worry, darling," she cooed, stepping closer, eyes glimmering with unholy delight. "I assure you, it will be unforgettable." As dread crawled up his back, Ryan realized he was standing on the precipice of something unfathomably sinister, and there was no escape. With a surge of instinct, he turned to flee, but the door slammed shut behind him, locking him in. What game was Sarah ready to play, and more importantly, would he be the pawn or the escaped king? A flash of red caught his eye. Was that a symbol on the wall? It burned brighter, and as he traced it with trembling fingers, he realized it wasn't just decorative. A message scratched hastily. "You can't leave." His heart raced as he frantically scanned the room. What had he gotten himself into? Panic surged through Ryan, a cold sweat coating his back as he took a step away from the wall, tracing the strange symbol. His fingers trembled, and he felt a rush of nausea. "Sarah," he croaked. "What the hell is going on?" She tilted her head, a predator playing with her prey. "Oh, Ryan, you're still thinking too small. Let us just say I'm a collector. And you're quite rare." Her smile widened, but her eyes dulled, becoming inscrutable, like dark glass. He recoiled, heart thudding like a war drum in his chest. "A collector? Of what?" "Why, memories. Connections. Lives." She stepped closer, bridging the gap with an unnerving ease. Each footfall felt like an echo of danger, splintering through the room. The things people leave behind, they can be so beautiful. Ryan's mind raced. The photographs, the eerie stillness, the scratches on the wall, everything hinted at something much darker. His throat tightened. What are you saying? Is this some kind of sick joke? Oh, Ryan, it's no joke. You just have to embrace it. Raising her arms, she gestured around the room. All these lovely people? They shared something with me. Something intimate. He stumbled back, his eyes darting around the room for an escape. What happened to them? Her laughter danced on the air, chilling him further. They're with me, Ryan. Their essence, their fear, even their deepest regrets, they linger here. More than just memories, they become a part of me. She leaned in closer, a hushed whisper echoing in his ear. And soon you will too. He recoiled, colliding hard against a chair. Adrenaline pulsed, urging him to move. There had to be a way out. And those walls, he had to get to the door. But something primal in him screamed to stay still, to be quiet. Ryan, let us focus on our little game, she said, watching him closely. Her eagerness was palpable, almost suffocating. Game? You don't mean? His voice was barely above a whisper. Of course I do. It's simple, really. You'll play, and if you win, she paused dramatically, you might get to leave. What if I lose? He barely managed to ask, dread pooling at his feet. Then you're mine, darling, she purred, tilting her head as if contemplating a fascinating insect. Wouldn't that be thrilling? His gut twisted. Survival instinct screamed, drowning out the horror of his reality. What did he even know about her? How could he trust his instincts when everything around him felt so wrong? Her smile promised terror, and yet there was a twisted thrill in her eyes that was undeniably captivating. Let us start, shall we? Sarah clapped her hands, the sound echoing ominously. The lights flickered once more. What's your first question? Where shall I go first? He inhaled sharply, wrestling with the tightness in his chest. Why me? Her grin stretched impossibly wide, teeth flashing like the edge of a blade. That's the question everyone asks, isn't it? But my reasons, they're mine to keep. You see, Ryan, it's about choices. Choices we make when desperation clings to our skin. The walls seemed to close in, suffocating him with her words. Through the shadows, he glimpsed the outlines of objects unidentifiable but undeniably sinister. Now that you're here, tell me, would you rather sacrifice yourself to save someone you love? Or live in blissful ignorance while I collect your essence? His heart raced again, hammering in his throat. No. It couldn't end like this. What if I don't play? He felt the heat of defiance surge through him. Then you doom yourself, she said, voice dripping with honeyed malice. And you'll miss the chance to understand the true nature of connection. Ryan steadied himself, clenching his fists. Somewhere amidst this turmoil, he felt a flicker of hope, and he'd be damned if he let it flicker out. As he prepared to counter her, a sound pierced through the silence. A small, muffled whimper echoed from the darkened hallway behind her, the one he hadn't noticed before. Who's there? He demanded, heart thumping harder than ever. Sarah's smile faded, twisting into something darker. Oh, them? Just part of the game, but now it was more than a game. Someone else was caught in this web of twisted fascination, and Ryan couldn't ignore it. If he acted quickly, he might find a way to unravel this nightmare. What's that noise? He pressed harder, eyes narrowing. Tell me. A glint of anger flashed across her face. You'll find out soon enough, Ryan. But choose wisely, time is running out. Suddenly, the echoes of laughter turned into shrieks that bounced around him, pulling him in deeper. The stakes were rising, and Ryan knew that if he wanted to survive this night, he would have to confront not just Sarah but whatever dark secrets were embedded in the very walls of her home. His next move could very well determine his fate. Would he gamble everything he had on this terrifying game? And was the prison of her home only the beginning? The whimper echoed again, louder this time. It curled around him like a viper, squeezing the breath from his lungs. Ryan's gaze darted to Sarah, whose eyes sparkled with twisted amusement. Just a little reminder of what's at stake, she cooed, her voice sweet as poison. He took a deep breath, pushing past the fear creeping into his bones. "What did you do to them?" he asked, forcing his voice steady. "Oh, you'll see. In due time." Her bottom lip curled in a smug smile. She stepped back, letting the shadows sweep in around her, plunging the room into a claustrophobic gloom. Ryan could hear the muffled whimper again, more frantic now. It was a woman's voice, soft, terrified. His mind raced. Whoever it was, they needed help. But how could he help her when his own life hung in the balance? "Let her go, Sarah," he demanded, his defiance stiffening his spine. "You don't have to do this." "Oh, but I do, Ryan. It's part of the game." Her eyes glimmered with madness. "The more you resist, the more fun I have." Ryan swallowed, the taste of bile sour on his tongue. "What kind of monster are you?" "A monster with a purpose," she replied, stepping closer again. "I do this to remind us all what it feels like to be alive. To truly feel." A chill skated down his spine as he took her words in. Did she believe that? Was this twisted madness her reality? Memories of his own life brushed through him, of laughter shared and moments cherished. The shrieks from the hallway intensified, slicing through his thoughts, punctuating the dark air. "Please!" the voice cried, pleading. "Help me!" Ryan's heart pounded as he turned, the shadows beckoning, pulling him toward the sound. Every instinct screamed for him to stay away from Sarah and the horror that held him captive. But he couldn't turn his back on the woman crying out in anguish. "Ryan!" Sarah called, her voice sharp and filled with urgency. "Don't even think about it." Ignoring her, he took a step toward the hallway. The shadows thickened, wrapping around him, clinging to his skin, trying to siphon his resolve. "You'll regret it!" she yelled, fury threading through her threat. But regret was already slithering behind him, creeping into his heart with every desperate plea from the woman. At that moment, he felt time stretch between them, like a taut wire ready to snap. "What's it going to be?" Sarah's demeanor shifted, her amusement replaced by something more dangerous. "You can save one of us, but what if you end up losing both?" His breath itched, caught in the whirlwind of emotion and confusion. "Ryan!" the woman cried again. "Please, I don't want to die." With a surge of adrenaline, he took a step forward into the shadows, each stride feeling heavy with the weight of his choice. Would he save a stranger or seek a way out for himself? A scream suddenly erupted from the darkness, echoing off the walls like shards of glass. "No!" Sarah screamed, her face twisted in outrage. The shriek faded, replaced by a chilling silence that enveloped the room. An icy dread gripped Ryan, freezing him in place. "What did you do?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "Oh, don't worry, Ryan. The fun is just beginning." He could hardly think, panic clawing at his throat. The darkness felt alive, a suffocating entity closing in around him. Without choices. Sarah hissed softly, "There's no gain," but Ryan wasn't done yet. The flicker of hope inside him ignited again, fueled by raw desperation. "Let's see how good you really are at playing," he said, defiance pouring from his lips as he finally decided to step into that inky blackness. What awaited him in the shadows could mean life or death, not just for himself, but for a stranger caught in this macabre snare. His only hope now, to expose the truth hidden within Sarah's twisted game. And at that moment, the dark creaked ominously behind him, the walls whispering secrets as the game became ever more treacherous. What peril awaited him in the heart of this nightmare? The moment of reckoning was at hand. The darkness swallowed Ryan whole. He plunged into the abyss, feeling the cold air wrap around him like a cloak. The echoes of that chilling scream still lingered in his ears, drowning out everything else. Each step felt like wading through thick mud, as if the shadows were actively pulling him back, resisting his movement. He steeled himself, heart pounding in a frantic rhythm. "Help me!" The voice rose again, heartbreakingly close, and he sprinted forward, propelled by desperation. The hallway was a nightmare landscape. Dim light flickered from a rusted bulb overhead, casting shifting shadows on the walls. Ryan's breath hitched at the sight ahead, dark stains smeared across the floor, traces of struggle. In that moment, he knew he had to keep moving. Every instinct told him to escape, but he couldn't. Her cries were pulling him deeper into the darkness. "Who is it?" he shouted, voice trembling. "I'm coming. Please don't leave me." The voice cracked, and Ryan felt his resolve harden. He had to reach her. He charged down the corridor, feeling the wall's rough texture beneath his fingertips, a grounding reminder he was still alive, that he could still make a choice. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from a nearby room, the sound of something being thrown. Ryan hesitated, the noise striking a nerve. Was it Sarah? Or something worse? He advanced cautiously towards the source, every footfall echoing louder in his mind, drowning out the voice beckoning him. The door stood ajar, swinging slightly as if welcoming him into its depths. Ryan nudged it open, heart racing. The instant he stepped inside, he was met with a scene that made his stomach lurch. A small, dimly lit room, battered furniture strewn about. In the center, a woman strapped to a chair, her eyes wide with terror. The same voice he'd heard. His heart skyrocketed. "I'm here!" he exclaimed. "Ryan!" she gasped, eyes wild and pleading. "Help me, please!" Her name was etched in the haze of his panic. Emily. He remembered her from the party, her laughter floating through the air like a melody now turned into a haunting tune. Before he could reach her, something gripped his ankle. He looked down, shock coursing through him as he noticed threads of darkness weaving together, forming a tight hold. The shadows weren't just covering the walls. They were alive, crawling, pulsating with hunger. "Get away from me!" Ryan shouted, scrambling. He pulled at his leg, but the darkness clung tighter, like a vice around his flesh. The air thickened with a chilling presence. "Ryan, no!" Emily cried out, panic rising in her voice. "Stay back!" he managed to yell. Desperation sank into him, driving him to kick at the thick shadows. Each attempt only seemed to cause them to tighten their grip. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him, leaving only a sliver of light peeking through the cracks. The laughter from Sarah rang in his ears, echoing off the walls, twisting into a discordant symphony. "Ryan, please!" Emily begged, tears streaming down her cheeks. His pulse raced. Every second felt like hours, and time was slipping further away. The shadows hissed and howled, a living mass of dread coiling tighter around him. He had to act. His heart thudded as he made a choice, fueled by a primal instinct to survive. A surge of will slammed into him, overpowering fear. "Let her go!" he roared, summoning every ounce of defiance within. He believed in the flicker of hope, that maybe, just maybe, it could break through the darkness. But as he lunged, he felt a painful grip on his wrist. The darkness was not done with him yet. "Think about your choice," Ryan came Sarah's voice, soft and sinister from the shadows looming just beyond reach. What sacrifice lay ahead? Would he lose everything before he found a way out? The shadows closed in, and time began to slip through his fingers once more. What awaited him here as the night deepened? The game was far from over. Ryan's throat tightened as the shadows squeezed around him like a noose. Panic surged through his body, threat and desperation intertwining. He felt the sickening weight of dread pressing down, each shuddering breath a battle against the unseen. Emily's cries echoed in his ears, an urgent reminder of the urgency that fought against the suffocating darkness. "Emily!" he called out, fighting against the tendrils gripping his mind and body. "I won't leave you!" He took another frantic step, dragging the darkness along as it sought to pull him under. "Stay back," she cried, voice choked with fear. "Don't let it take you!" The shadows pulsed, an angry wave crashing against his resolve. Sarah's voice slithered through the air, taunting, "You think you can save her, Ryan? What will you give up?" Each word was a dagger, planting doubt deep in his heart. Ryan felt a sharp pain shoot through his wrist. Clinging to the last vestiges of hope, he turned to Emily, desperately trying to catch her eye. "I'll figure it out. I'll save you." But as he looked into her eyes, he glimpsed not just terror but something darker, a reflection of his own impending doom. With a primal scream, he raged against the creeping horror. The darkness shrieked back, a cacophony of whispers that surrounded him, clawing at his sanity. He could almost make out fragmented voices drowning in anguish, each one a warning, each syllable a reminder of the price of survival. "Ryan, please," Emily's voice faded beneath the chaos, trembling with despair. "You have to decide, choose." Ryan's heart raced. The shadows shifted, tightening their grip on both him and Emily, pulling them closer to an unseen fate. He glimpsed glimmers of movement in the murky depths, shapes writhing and watching. The suffocating dread morphed into something palpable, tangible, wrapping around his chest, squeezing the air from his lungs. "Enough!" he shouted into the dark void, determination igniting within him like a wildfire. He lunged, forcing his panic thoughts aside. He clawed at the shadows, fighting against their bitter chill, desperate to reach Emily. "Get away!" he yelled as he hurled himself forward, a reckless, instinctual leap, channeling everything he had into that one moment. Just as he reached for her, the shadows howled, an unholy roar that shook the very walls and sent shockwaves through him. He felt them yank at his shoulders, dragging him back, fighting against his every move. The air crackled with tension. "Ryan!" Emily's voice broke through the tumult, a flicker of light. He could see her now, struggling against her bonds, terror etched across her features. Then, just as their fingers brushed, the darkness erupted. It consumed him, a tidal wave crashing down, swallowing him whole. Ryan felt himself thrown across the room, landing hard on the cold, grimy floor. The shadows recoiled, coiling tightly around Emily as if they sought to crush her beneath their weight. With a gasp, Ryan shot upright, his vision swimming in and out of focus. "Emily!" he shouted, rising to his feet, desperate to fight back. He could see her silhouette, desperately thrashing, but the shadows had grown insatiable, thickening like a storm cloud, curling around her throat, draining her life. "Choose wisely," Sarah's voice rolled through the air like thunder, ominous and sinister. The shadows twisted again, blurring his sense of reality. They were alive, sentient, thrumming with a macabre hunger for his choices. "Stay with her," a whisper came from within. "Or escape." Ryan's heart raced. He was faced with the most rock-hard dilemma: save Emily and possibly surrender himself, or, like a coward, run away. But was escape even an option anymore? Would he have to sacrifice Emily's life for his future? Desire to save her surged, battling against reason. Just as terror peaked, a cold voice unveiled a chilling truth. "Only one of you will leave this room alive." He felt the weight of every heartbeat, every breath, every decision weighing down on him. Time crawled as his fate entwined with hers. The shadows danced in a fevered rhythm, waiting, anticipating, hungering for his choice. Would he succumb to darkness, or risk everything for the light? And as Ryan hovered on the precipice of his decision, the world around him began to dissolve, swirling into oblivion, whispering promises of fate. Ryan's heart thundered in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to fight, to reach Emily. But as he looked at her, helpless and pale, the shadows seemed to laugh, twisting and writhing like a living entity, each tendril a reminder of the inevitable price of choice. "Choose!" Emily cried again, desperation etching her features with deeper lines of fear. The shadows constricted, and he could see the flicker of her breath struggling against the darkness. Each second felt like a punch to his gut. "Emily!" he shouted, the name slipping out like a prayer. A slight shimmer of light danced around her from the corner of his eye, just brief enough to ignite his hope, but then shadows swarmed, swallowing it whole. An echo of Sarah's voice reverberated dangerously close. "Only one of you will leave." He stumbled back, nearly losing his footing as the shadows seethed, swirling with a chaotic hunger around him, each whisper threatening to drive him mad. "Get out of my head!" he screamed into the chaos. "Are you really willing to take her place?" The voice hissed, a chilling laugh clawing into his veins. Ryan staggered, torn between fear and desperation. "I'm not leaving you!" he yelled out again, looking into Emily's wide, terrified eyes. The shadows around him pulsed with desire, each pulse echoing a primal warning of doom. In that moment, a chilling image flashed in his mind of him running, dashing toward freedom. But then another voice broke through. It was his own shaking whisper, stirring memories of past betrayals, moments when he had chosen himself over others. These thoughts mixing with the shadows stoked his resolve. "No," he said, voice steadying, "I won't let you win." He crouched low, trying to break the shadow's hold on him. The shadows hissed, recoiling from his newfound courage, wavering like smoke in the wind. "Why would you do this?" Emily gasped, skin growing paler, her voice trembling with an uncertainty that sent a chill down his spine. "Because I care about you. It's not about me anymore, it's about us." Taking a deep breath, Ryan pushed against the suffocating darkness that clung to him, thrusting his hands toward Emily. "Stay with me. Don't give up." Suddenly, the shadows convulsed, and Ryan felt them claw at his mind, feeding on his emotions, twisting his thoughts into chaotic whirls that wanted him to falter. "Emily, listen. Remember our days at the lake? The laughter? The moments when nothing else mattered but us." As if a flicker sparked within her, Emily's eyes brightened momentarily. "I remember," she whispered, struggling against the shadows that tightened around her throat. "Fight it, Ryan!" With her words surging through him like a lifeline, Ryan lunged deeper into the shadowy abyss, fueled by an all-consuming need to save her. "I won't let them take you." He grasped at the tendrils wrapping around Emily, weaving his heartbeat through her cries, drawing strength from their memories. The shadows recoiled as he pressed forward, a wave of defiance surging through. The darkness shrieked angrily, turning its fury on him. "Choose now!" The disembodied voice howled, the darkness swirling violently around both of them. It felt as if time had stopped, the air thickening with tension and dread. Ryan's head spun. He caught a glimpse of Emily, tears slipping down her cheeks, her breathing shallow as she fought for every gasp. "We can do this together!" he shouted, determination tightening his grip. But even as he bravely held on, a bone-chilling thought slithered through his mind. What if the shadows demanded an even deeper sacrifice? All at once, the room shook violently, shadows slashing across the walls, engulfing everything like a ravenous beast. A shattering climax of energy erupted around them. The last thing he remembered was Emily's terrified face and the whispers curling around him, a final warning. "Join us," and just like that, they were swallowed, consumed by chaos, darkness tightening its unyielding grip as reality flickered. Ryan felt as though he was falling endlessly, pulling Emily with him into a void of confusion and despair. Taunted by the shadows lurking at the edges of his consciousness, waiting for the moment they could claim victory once again. What had he truly chosen? And within the grip of those dreadful shadows, a new voice rose, a haunting whisper, hinting at secrets uncovered, promises of horrors yet to come. Ryan plunged into darkness, surrounded by a smothering silence that pressed against his ears. Panic rose as he felt Emily slipping through his grasp. The shadows twirled around him like claws, reaching for every threatening whisper that taunted him. "Where are we?" he shouted into the void. The air felt thicker with despair, almost suffocating. Was this what the depths of darkness felt like? A flicker, a glimmer, a memory? Ryan couldn't tell. It ignited hope, but then a growl from the shadows echoed, gnashing teeth ready to tear him apart, swallowing the warmth whole. "Join us," the voice twisted around him, a chorus of laughter that was both mesmerizing and dreadfully haunting. It curled around his mind like smoke. "No!" he screamed, aiming the refusal at the shadows. "You won't take her." He concentrated, picturing the lake again, the sun shining on their faces, their laughter mixing with the gentle splash of water. But the memory dimmed, wavering as tendrils wrapped around his mind, pulling him deeper into despair. A low whisper threaded through the chaos, slicing through the darkness. "Sacrifice a soul for a soul. Get out of my head." Ryan kicked back against the encroaching shadows, the memory of Emily's tears burning in his mind. "I choose life. I choose Emily." But the shadows only hissed in response, echoing a dark promise that clawed at him. He felt the ground beneath him shift, giving way to deeper chasms filled with lightless voids, hidden horrors lingering just out of sight. Emily's voice, distant yet potent, broke through the haze, fragile as gossamer thread. "Ryan! I'm here!" he shouted, voice strained, fighting to keep the darkness at bay. "I want to let you go." Then, a flash of light cut through the encroaching blackness, a blinding beacon of desperation. Caught between two extremes, he felt the shadows ripple, drawing back mere inches. Emily's image appeared briefly, ghost-like, illuminated by the sudden brightness. But it flickered like a dying flame, swallowed by darkness before he could fully grasp it. "Don't give in," she gasped, voice cracking. It was like a soft touch of a hand on fire and ice, each word carrying weight, each syllable a plea. "Fight! I'm fighting!" he cried, but the shadows twisted, their whispers burning his resolve. "What do you want from us?" Everything, came the chilling reply, slithering around him like a serpent. The warmth of memories collided against the cold dread of the shadows. Images of joy became rotten specters, laughing cruelly. He fought back, panting as dreams warped and shifted, a collage of past regrets and fears writhed within. What had he chosen? Each decision hovered around him like memories in a haunted hall. And then, the shimmering light returned, this time more vivid. "Find me!" Emily shouted again, voice stronger. With fierce determination blazing within him, Ryan surged forward, pulling every ounce of energy, every ounce of love into him. "You're with me!" The shadows roared, raging back against the sudden surge. Ryan felt the trembling earth beneath his feet, the echo of their screams blending into a cacophony of despair. The air crackled, taut with an electrifying tension. And he saw a sliver of a path through the swirling darkness. Ryan sprinted towards it, but just as quickly as it appeared, shadows lashed out, clawing at his ankles, dragging him back. "Ryan!" Emily screamed, her voice laced with terror. "No! I will not let you claim her!" The shadows shrieked, a furious roar of souls demanding tribute. As he desperately fought to break free, the fear clawed inside him, scratching and scraping. What would happen if he succeeded? What would he face? Or worse, what if they failed? The darkness pulsed violently, and Ryan found himself caught in its grasp again, twisting around him, infecting his mind with dread until a vision sprang to life. A fire and explosion of vivid red light illuminating the abyss. His hand grazed something cold, a heartbeat that wasn't his own, a heart of the shadows. He realized then this was just the beginning. And as the shadows prepared to consume him, once more, Ryan let out a primal scream, determined to break free. This was not an end but a reckoning. What awaited him when the veil lifted? Would he emerge whole, or would they claim him forever? Ryan's scream echoed, raw and powerful, cutting through the encroaching darkness. The shadows writhed around him, twisting in anger. He felt them pulling at his limbs, tightening their grip like a vice. This wasn't just a fight for Emily, it was a battle for his very soul. The air thickened with acrid smoke, the scent of despair wrapping around him like a suffocating blanket. Fighting the primal instinct to cower, he focused harder on Emily's voice, flickering like taillights lost in a storm. Each desperate syllable anchored him as he reached for that sliver of light again. "Fight, find me." Her voice pierced the veil, giving him a flicker of strength. With each beat of his heart, he pushed against the shadows. They clawed and scraped, whispering promises of despair and surrender. "Join us, Ryan. You cannot escape." He stumbled, his foot hitting something solid. It felt like ground beneath him, oddly familiar yet alien. Was it because it was his past? Or a lullaby from the darkness? The roaring darkness clawed at his mind, morphing memories into frantic, swirling shapes. He saw murky faces, shadows of people he once loved, their eyes hollow and accusing. Each image pierced him deeper, revealing fears he thought buried, failures, mistakes, moments where he chose the wrong path. But there it was again, a pulse, a flickering memory of laughter intertwined with Emily's vibrant smile, a beacon of warmth igniting a fire inside him. The shadowy tendrils hesitated for a fraction of a moment, as if recoiling from the heat of his love. "Come on," he muttered to himself, fighting the despair that wrapped around him. You won't take her, you won't take us. With renewed vigor, Ryan forced himself to stand taller. He pushed back harder against the tide of darkness, feeling the warm light of Emily's memory seep into his bones. I am not afraid, he shouted defiantly. The shadows recoiled, a cacophony of anguished howls filling the space. In the middle of the chaos, a faint rustle brought him back to focus. Was it Emily? Was she even real? Or just another trick from the darkness? His heart pounded in his chest as he tried to locate the source. The flickering light pulsed, revealing a new layer of shadows, a figure emerging, shrouded in darkness, or perhaps a shadow of his own fear. Ryan, the voice lay thick, sultry, but it held a sinister edge. You weren't meant to escape so easily. His skin crawled. Fear tremored inside him like a raging storm. What was happening? This voice was different, deeper, haunting. The figure shifted, revealing a face obscured by a veil of night, but the eyes glowed red with malice. Let her go! Ryan shouted, dread flooding his veins. She's not yours. Laughter erupted, cruel and mocking. The figure stepped forward, shadows swirling tighter around it. But she was always part of this darkness, Ryan, it hissed. She's tangled in our fate, just like you. Ryan's pulse quickened. No! This couldn't be true. The warmth of their love fought against the biting cold, but doubt wrapped around him like vines. You're lying. Am I? The creature taunted. You're both trapped here, caught between worlds. The question is, how badly do you want her? What will you give up? The shadows whispered his name like a chant, reaching into the depths of his mind. He could feel his grip on reality slipping, the shadows pulling him towards a precipice, a dark choice he never wanted to face. No! He shouted, I choose Emily. I'll do whatever it takes. Then silence. The kind of silence that made his skin crawl. Time stopped. The darkness held its breath. In that eternal moment, he realized the monstrous figure was a reflection, showcasing the fears he buried deep. Then it spoke again, voice dripping with temptation. Then you know what you must do. Ryan stood at the brink, the weight of impossible choices pressing down on him. Would he seal his fate, trading everything he believed in for a chance to save Emily? Or would he surrender to the darkness instead? In the distance, Emily's voice echoed once more, full of both desperation and hope. The shadows shimmered violently, waiting, wanting. As Ryan stepped towards the glowing abyss, he wondered if any choice he made could lead them back to the light, or if he'd seal them in darkness forever. He closed his eyes and took in a breath, but the choice loomed, dragging him close once more. Which direction would he choose? Ryan stood on the brink of existence, the swirling shadows clawing at his resolve as Emily's voice echoed through the murky depths. Fight, Ryan! You can do this! The familiar warmth of her words ignited a flame in him, pushing him back from the cold grasp of despair. No, he whispered fiercely, locking eyes with the shadowy figure. You don't control me. The entity laughed, a sound that chilled the air around him. You think you can escape without a price? Love demands sacrifice. Love shouldn't feel like a prison? He shot back, drawing on the bittersweet memories of laughter, of sunlight, of carefree moments that now felt like distant stars. He took a step closer to the light, where Emily's silhouette flickered like a lighthouse in the storm. Join me, Ryan, the figure beckoned, glowing more menacingly. You can have it all if you yield to the darkness. No! He shouted again, the defiance swelling within him like a tidal wave. I choose to fight. With every ounce of strength, Ryan lunged forward, pushing through the shadows that sought to pull him down. The shadows hissed and recoiled, but just as quickly, they lashed out, thinner now, trying to entrap him. He felt the cold grasp, like icy fingers wrapping around his limbs. But Emily's voice surged back into his mind, steadying him. We're stronger together. Remember the bond we share. It's not just you or me, it's us. He gritted his teeth, steel pooling in his veins, recalling their connection, the warmth that flowed between them. He had always fought for love, for the moments that defined them. Though fear gnawed at him, Ryan pushed against the chilling tendrils, unwilling to falter. "I'll take the darkest path if it means saving you," Ryan screamed, his voice piercing through the chaos. The dark figure faltered, the shadows retracting slightly. For a brief moment, hope surged in his chest. The arena shifted around him, flickers of Emily's laughter wafting from the distance, anchoring him to the essence of their love. The environment pulsed with the warmth of their shared joy like a sunrise breaking through the night. "Good, Ryan," the figure hissed, recovering its composure, "but you must be willing to embrace my shadows." The air thickened with chill, but in that moment, Ryan felt a serenity wash over him. "I know what I'm willing to give." And he didn't hesitate. He focused on the light of Emily's laughter, the memories they shared no matter how far his mind wandered into the devastation of their current reality. In that instant, he reached for the darkness, not to surrender but to conquer. He felt its grip swirling around him, trying to tempt him to submit. The moment the shadows embraced him, he cried out, "In the name of love, I will not be consumed." With sheer willpower, he stood taller, and shouted the words that reverberated through the malevolence. "I choose love." And then, something extraordinary happened. The shadows trembled, swirling around him in a frenzy, but light began to erupt from the very core of his heart, pushing back against the darkest night. Warmth flooded him, expanding outward like an explosion. The painful grip lessened until it burst free, tossing darkness aside like a discarded cloak. A blinding light filled the room as he fought with pure force of will, the cries of agonized shadows fading to whispers. Ryan reached desperately towards the center of the blinding light, feeling the weight of sacrifice dissipating, his vow to save Emily empowering him further. "Emily!" In a flurry of brilliance, he took another step and grasped onto the flickering outline of her figure. Their hands connected, and suddenly it felt like warm rays of sunshine dispelling the night. And then they were free, the room bursting as the shadows around them shattered, fading into ethereal wisps. The walls trembled, releasing the bonds that held them prisoner, the air clearing as they staggered into the light. "Ryan!" Emily gasped, her face illuminated in the warm glow. Relief washed over both of them, igniting a rekindled strength in their hearts. They stood together alive, free from the clutches of darkness, and the remnants of their past losses scattered like ashes. They had fought the shadows, and together, they triumphed. "I won't let anything ever take you from me again," Ryan vowed, the truth of it resonating deep within him. He had survived, not through surrender, but through defiance. And as the dawn broke, they emerged from the shadows, not just survivors, but warriors forged by love. With the sun's rays painting a new world before them, Ryan turned to Emily, the flowers of hope blossoming in the light of their newfound lives. But even as they walked away, he felt the shadow of doubt pass over them. He knew deep down, this was not the end but the beginning of something greater, a journey of reclaiming every lost moment. Together, Emily whispered, and he nodded, walking hand in hand toward a future they would build, one day at a time. As the camera closes in, remember, this is where we part ways. This journey of shadows and love has moved us toward the light. But your story doesn't have to end here. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to support the channel. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.